This is an experiment in seeing if I can make a video with a flip video camera. It's about 18 inches in front of my face, and I'm sitting here in one of my rooms, and I'm just talking at the camera as if I was giving a lecture. Now, my point in doing this is to summarize from time to time topics that we talk about so that you can review things with this sort of a form of mini lecture online on YouTube anytime you want to. Right now, what I'd like to do is explain what we did this week in the first week in starting up the class and what I hope to accomplish next week. This week, we kicked off the class by my explaining generally what we're going to cover. That was a handout about ethics that I actually posted earlier in the week, and it's part of the notes for session 1. I haven't posted the notes for session 2 yet. Right now it's about noon on Friday, April the 4th, and I will post those notes quickly before this evening. Next Monday we have a class session. We will be discussing utilitarianism, and I'm also putting some materials out there in electronic form that are kind of an experiment. What I've done is to take materials that I found on the web and in some cases extracted those so that the hyperlinks in them are preserved. And then I'm actually going to put them out in PDF form so that the hyperlinks come right on through to you. I'm going to be highlighting certain words in the text that are definitions that you should become familiar with. If you're reading the PDF, which I think you're going to be reading on a computer or some electronic device, the hyperlinks will be active, and the ones I've highlighted are the ones that you really should investigate. In other words, if they're definitions, you should look up by clicking on the hyperlink the definition. What I'm forming for you is learning materials and other web references. They'll come to you in one PDF. That is, the PDF will have various things I've extracted, typically from Wikipedia, which I don't think is a very bad source. In fact, I think it's a real resource to be mined on the internet for subject matter like this. In any case, I'll extract that. Hyperlinks within them will lead you to definitions, and I'll also include hyperlinks to other materials that I don't extract, because unlike Wikipedia, which is kind of an open source set of materials, those other materials may not be so susceptible to people pulling off and putting into other mediums. So I will give you links, for example, to the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy and to a Stanford University website, and perhaps others, to explore various readings on the topics. I promised you I would give you the resources, that is the indication of the resources, to study every one of the 6 ethical frameworks that we're talking about, and I'll be giving you cases as well. The book associated with this class also has readings on utilitarianism and the other ethical frameworks, and you're certainly free to use that as a resource, and I would suggest that various members of your study teams read different resources. You all have access to the PDFs that I'll be putting out there, and I hope not to make the readings very lengthy or burdensome. Just think about these 6 sets of materials, one on each of the ethical frameworks that we're going to study, as the place to start for your studying. It will include references to the textbooks, but also references to other things that I hope you take a look at and learn from as we study each of those frameworks. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will explain these things in the materials themselves and give you little notes indicating how I hope you use this material. I think you might find this rather enjoyable because what I'm doing is focusing on materials that get to the point, that are concise, and that actually come to you free. So you don't have to worry about a big, heavy, clunky textbook and its static nature. These materials I can modify and I can tune up as we go so that I think it will present the material for you in a way that's definitely more dynamic and hopefully more useful than just a static textbook.